no classroom setting in terms of, people, in the same space as you physically.
Hmm.
So I thought that was surprising. And in the beginning, it was a challenge, but then I learned to adapt and use the community to replace the actual people,
Hmm.
and that you're typically in a classroom setting with. Evaluating myself first, knowing where I was, and then understanding of where I wanted to be, and
Hmm.
then so taking all that information and then kind of creating uh, a series of short-term goals that
Hmm.
would eventually allow me to reach my long-term goal, which is here I am now.
Hmm.
So just gathering information, seeing what it would take in order to complete the program, looking at management, timing, and then like I said, just accomplishing a bunch of short-term goals
Hmm.
to eventually reach them. Learning how to balance both work and then CFA.
Hmm.
Um, Learning how to work and communicate with the community because it was virtual
Hmm.
opposed to to actually having the physical component to it. So that was I had to learn to shift in that in those areas, and then just and then learning how to just basically learn again, learn how to learn, and
Hmm.
because in my line of work I've done a lot of teaching, so now I'm on the other side of the coin.
Hmm.
So that was interesting, and that was a change for me as well. You know what? In a very interesting way, it was youthful.
Hmm.
It almost brought me back to it did bring me back mentally back to my youth and just being in an environment where I was learning and absorbing all this information. So I think I kind of went back and kind of you know captured and encapsulate those moments when I was learning when I was young and kind of like infuse those into what I was doing now. So
Hmm.
I took that energy and said, okay, when I was younger, this is how I went about it. And so
Hmm.
now it's I'm older, but I can still use that same development, those same concepts to move forward and learn. You know what? One thing I will say about CFA, they're very very keen on and the information, the content in which they're distributing. It's current. A lot of the content that is in CFA's work, I find it to be extremely current and it's happening now. But as you know, it's interesting if you follow sports, and I use sports as an analogy a lot, is
Hmm.
and I have a great respect for track and field, but particularly the marathon is, it's the male or female who has a consistent pace who pretty much comes out in the lead pack and then winds up finishing in a very high position.
Hmm.
And I say that because you start off fast and you exert so much energy physically and mentally, and then when you hit a speed bump, sometimes you use so much energy trying to get back that you find yourself lagging behind.
Hmm.
So, as I said, I started off very strong, but then I hit some bumps in the road. I slowed down, but then I learned that what I need to have is a consistent pace. As I mentioned earlier, just create an environment for yourself um, that is both calm and it allows you to process your information and think. And I would say to pace yourself. We talked about pace, being consistent, knowing that's not a race. You know, and whatever your consistency is, even if it's 30 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours, whatever it is, if you do that consistently, that you will find progress.